Thank you, Benji. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice, Martin Luther King said. It bends towards justice. And we are not afraid, are we?
Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll bear with me, my brothers and sisters, we've lived together all my life in Paterson. And this is the speech I presented on the floor of the House exactly 20 years ago today. Juneteenth. In fact, most of the people, Congress people, did not know what I was talking about when I said Juneteenth. Different story today. Juneteenth is also the name of a great book written by whom I consider one of the great writers of the 20th century. That is Ralph Ellison. He wrote The Invisible Man. It's often been misunderstood, yes? The Supreme Court made a decision in Dred Scott, but that decision was overturned in 1862. 3 years before, exactly to the day of June 10th, Juneteenth. Sometimes the Supreme Court needs to be corrected by the Congress of the United States. The Emancipation Proclamation receives its national appreciation, its rightful appreciation, as the gateway to freedom for African Americans. But it took a civil war, it took the 13th Amendment to the United States to formally outlaw slavery. That Emancipation Proclamation resulted in millions of slaves throughout this country who were unaffected by the provisions of the proclamation. And as you have already heard, word traveled very slowly. Did not get to Galveston, Texas till 2 years later. So this is indeed a celebration today. Time for us to reflect on what this meant. Juneteenth serves as an historical milestone. People of the triumph of the human spirit over the cruelty of slavery. I think we should all take a moment not only to recognize the moral bankruptcy of slavery, but also to celebrate the achievements of those living in such inhumane conditions. Despite the rigors of slavery, African Americans contribute everything from agricultural inventions and medical breakthroughs to music. They contributed a legacy of culture, of language, religion, a lesson of survival. Ralph Ellison, who I believe is one of the great writers of the 20th century, he was an African American and was frequently misunderstood. The genius of blacks, the black culture, was not in race, he wrote, but in human beings who bore the race. Blood and skin do not think. There were dehumanizing acts against blacks, no question about it. But the progress and the opportunity for blacks in America cannot depend on white oppressors changing their behavior, changing their work, changing their mind. As much as it would depend on individuals understanding and believing in their own God-given resources, their own skills, your own talents, your own creativity, your own persistence, who you are. This profiling a whole group of people is not accepted. And it is an attempt to rob one of his individuality, of each personality, and of each uniqueness. And I say that when I drive through Paterson, when I come back from D.C., and I see some people, all colors, giving up, throwing the sponge, and say, what the hell? I also believe that to believe solely in the idea that white oppression determined the freedom of blacks was to minimize the power of each black person. And it would make redemption depend upon how it was treated. We don't accept that. Lincoln did not free the slaves. The slaves freed themselves. This is a perspective. The outskirts of society allowed him to run point on its greatest ideals while grieving over its greatest failures. He argued against the idea that there existed a required mode of racial anger. You're supposed to be angry this way. There were, he contended, many possible responses to injustice. He wrote, there was even an American Negro tradition which abhors as obscene any trading in one's own anguish for gain or sympathy. Those are powerful words, my friend. Powerful words, particularly in our society today. So we have decided, for the most part, that each black person in our society is an incarnation. Someone wrote that, of his race. As Edward Rothstein wrote, being battered about by both blacks and whites who imposed their visions of racial identity, Lincoln freed the slaves. Ellison would say only slaves could free the slaves. My friends, I won't read you the rest, but I want you to know that that speech given 20 years ago, which I wrote, is my testimony today to all of us in Paterson. We have responsibility to our brothers and sisters. And as Martin Luther King said, that rod bends towards justice. Be hopeful. Be celebrating. Be connected to your neighbor. You cannot talk about us unless you live with us. I'm tired of people living in enclaves telling us how to live in the city of Paterson.
All right.
Yes. Tired of it. Like 67. And you have to stand up and speak and be heard. God bless the mayor, the council, and God bless all of you for being here this morning on a heck of a hot day.
Oh my God, you tell me. All right now.
That 130. Not Broadway.
At this time now, between Andre and the Congressman, you guys have yielded your time for the rest of the program, but we appreciate you. But we would like to acknowledge the Deputy Mayor of Hackensack, Dave Sims, is with us here today. Thank you, Dave. We also have some people who are historians within themselves here in the city of Paterson for various reasons. We have Dr. Joseph Fulmore here with us today, former superintendent. Skip Van Rensselaer, whose family is part of the history of Paterson, here with us today. We have Shelton Prescott. Where's Shelton at? I know I saw him here. Where's Shelton back here? Dalton Price. Yes. Reverend Clayton, you can work your way up here because I'm going to need you for 2 seconds, but you are part of our history, so don't go anywhere. Get up here. Thank you. But at this time, the mayor alluded to it before, and the councilman talked about it, the whole diaspora of what America's all about. So people need to understand through the slave trade that our brothers and sisters in South America, the Caribbean, you look through there, Africa is Afrikaans. So you have African blood in you. There is no pure blood if it didn't come from the motherland, from the true land. So my Dominican brothers and sisters, my Puerto Ricans, you are part of this issue. George Floyd in the 8 minutes and 46 seconds should be a concern to you. Think about it. There are many of you who are from the southern part of the Caribbean who are darker than me, and when you get pulled over, you're going to get the same treatment as me. So you should be concerned. So at this time, I bring you the councilman of the 5th Ward, Louis Village.
Well, you know, the honor and the glory is to the Lord first. I always say that. You know, one of the things I was thinking, what I'm going to say, I'm going to make it short and sweet. A lot of our dignitary has said it all. But if you're not going to be in the front line with us, don't call yourself Afro-American. If you're not going to be in the front line with us, don't come in the behind the screen and say I was there when you was never there. So if you're going to be with us, don't try to be fake and funny. We are real and true. So let me tell you something. When I see you, I see my grandmother. When I see you, I see my kids. When I see you, I see George Floyd. When I see George Floyd, I see you. I'm a George Floyd too. So everything that's going on in our city and around our city and our state, our nation, no matter what country you come from, no matter what language you speak, no matter what kind of rice you eat, it's still rice. And we need to be together, and we need to move the city forward, and we need to stay together. And if you hurt, I hurt, everyone hurt. So God bless you. Let's keep on working.